The Student International Business Council is a chance for the students to apply in real life the theories, the models, the teachings that they've had throughout their courses here at Benedictine College. So it's just such a beautiful thing to see students use, again, their knowledge, the skills that they're developing through our school, and applying that to the world to really make a difference, to transform the culture in America.
Dr. Madeline Rogers is an assistant professor in the School of Business and the executive director and faculty advisor of the Student International Business Council at Benedictine College. Listen in as we discuss her background in law and business, her work for the council, and the incredible projects our students are accomplishing around the world.
Benedictine College is transforming culture in America, one conversation at a time. From our studios in Atchison, Kansas, these are the Benedictine Dialogues.
Dr. Rogers, welcome to the Benedictine Dialogues.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, I heard a lot of wonderful things that your programs are doing and just had to have you on the show to come talk about it. But I thought at first maybe share a little bit about your background and your education and your role here at Benedictine.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So I've actually been here at Benedictine College before. I came here as a student many years ago. I knew at that time that I wanted to continue to grow in my faith, and that I wanted to grow in scholarship to receive a quality education, and also to continue playing soccer.
Oh, nice.
So I came here to Benedictine College. I studied business administration with a concentration in marketing and a minor in psychology. From there, I still desired some more education, so I went straight into law school at Washburn University School of Law. I practiced law for a number of years. I worked for a private law firm doing predominantly business law, a little bit of real estate law and commercial law too. Did some clerkships throughout my legal career at various levels, and then came back here to Benedictine College, where I was hired to teach the business law courses. Over time here, there was a need for someone to teach some of the international business courses as well, so I've helped out with some of those. And then eventually Benedictine College asked if I would serve as the executive director and faculty advisor for the Student International Business Council. Part of that tied into doing my MBA in New Zealand.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about your experience with the New Zealand Masters. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it was a good opportunity. When I was in law school, I was considering doing a JD MBA, so my Juris Doctor and my MBA, and consolidating it so that you kind of were able to cut off a year by combining courses. I was talking to my contract professor my very first year, and he stopped me and he said, "Well, where'd you grow up?" I said, "Kansas." He's like, "Okay, good. Where'd you go to college?" "Kansas." He goes, "And you're in law school where?" "Kansas." He said, "Okay, that's great. Like, that's all good and well." But he told me I would graduate from law school with a JD MBA, have always lived in Kansas, have zero work experience. He said if it was him, he would go ahead and earn his Juris Doctor now, then work for a while, and then go on and do his MBA. And he said, go somewhere else, somewhere different. He's like, you can come back to Kansas, but go somewhere else for a little bit. So that's what I ended up doing. I went ahead and I finished my Juris Doctor, my law degree, practiced law for a couple of years. Again, I was in private practice for a while and working for some judges. And then I went over to New Zealand and I earned my MBA there before coming back here to the USA.
Wow. So what was the experience like in New Zealand? Was it a cultural, surprise, or how did it go?
Yeah, the people there are so friendly and incredible. I still stay in touch with some of my classmates from the MBA program. The food is delicious. The country is beautiful. And it was really interesting, the courses over there. So during law school, for example, I took a negotiation course, which was fantastic. For a lot of the classes that we had, we'd be given a fact pattern or a hypo. We'd be paired up with a classmate, a co-counselor, to practice as if we were attorneys with two other classmates on the other side of the hypo. And that was fun. I enjoyed that. In my MBA program, I took a negotiation course, and I thought, I bet this is going to be similar to law school. And it was in some ways. They gave us many of the nights for the MBA class, they'd give us a fact pattern and a hypo, and you'd be partnered up with somebody in class and you'd negotiate it. Well, my very first night of class, I sat down in this negotiation course and I had my partner, and I was thinking, we're going to come out with the best negotiation. We're going to accomplish so much. And he started asking me before we even got to the facts. He's like, so tell me about yourself. When did you move to New Zealand? Tell me about your family. And he was going on and on with all these questions. And I'm watching the clock tick away thinking, oh my goodness, we only have 3 hours in this class. And of course, I was answering the questions
Sure.
and being cordial and asking him about himself. But it was interesting because after we finished our negotiation, we kind of did a debrief together and talked about how it went. And he was telling me how in his culture, where he comes from, he said a lot of times on their first business meeting, they don't talk about the business at all. They just spend time getting to know each other. Do they like the other person? Do they trust the other person? And so that's where he was coming from. From his cultural background, he wanted to get to know me first to see, am I the type of person that he wants to do business with in this hypothetical scenario? And for me, that was just like, whoa, oh my goodness. Yes, we had this negotiation, but there was this cultural piece and cultural component on top of it. And in the MBA program I was in, it was in Auckland, New Zealand, which is kind of the center of commerce in New Zealand. So there were people from all over the world in the city, but also in the MBA program. So night after night, as I'd go through these negotiations with my classmate, each person brought in kind of a different cultural preference or background into that negotiation on top of, the fact pattern that we had in our hands. So I learned a lot from that experience.
That's really interesting. Yeah. And I honestly, I don't really think about the aspects of international business, of the cultural aspects of it and how important that really is. How do you teach that to the students here at the school?
Well, that's something that I love about the Student International Business Council. Yes, right? So the students in their courses here, SIBC and other courses, they learn about different cultures and they read in textbooks about different theories and models. But the Student International Business Council is a chance for the students to apply in real life the theories, the models, the teachings that they've had throughout their courses here at Benedictine College. The projects really vary. Sometimes it could be, a project for the monks of Norcia in Italy, which we've done a project for. It could be for a family that owns a chateau in France, which we've done. It could be for a study abroad program that's starting up in Spain, one of our past projects. Or it could be something for closer here to home. This semester, we have a project for one of our alums down in Shreveport, Louisiana, the students are researching how medical clinical trials are run in different parts of the world so that his software development company can decide if their software would work well in some of these other countries. So through these experiences, students learn about the culture literally while they're in Italy or while they're in France or Spain. We've done projects in New Zealand, Belize, Mexico. So it's a chance to really experience the cultures firsthand.
That's amazing. Maybe give a little bit of background of what the Student International Business Council is and how it got started here.
I'd be happy to do that. So there are 3 different councils. A very generous gentleman named Frank Potenziani years ago, he wanted to give college students a chance before they graduate from school to actually get this hands-on experience. And he had this vision of peace through commerce, which we still maintain in the societies today. There are 3 different councils total. So he started the first council at Notre Dame. And then he decided that he wanted to expand that out to a couple of additional schools. So he added a council at the University of San Diego and one here at Benedictine College. So there are 3 councils in the world, and we are blessed and fortunate to be one of those.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, he's an incredible gentleman.
That's amazing. So tell me a little bit more about some of the projects. I know one, in fact, is an ongoing in New Zealand that they're working on. Tell me a little bit about that project.
Yeah, so for that particular project, there's a gentleman, he was born in India, he moved to New Zealand, and he's been quite successful with his career in New Zealand. And now that he's at that point in his career where he's achieved that success, he wants to do something to give back to people in India. And so I had a conversation with him and with some students, and they're working on a project right now to help individuals, especially like musicians and artists in the Indian market, with other places outside of India. So the students right now are doing some intensive research into the US market and some of the resources available. Some of the things they're looking at, for example, for a young artist in India, could they connect with maybe a university and do a concert here at a campus? Whether it's, in Texas or LA or some other school. Are there different cultural centers that could be great support for individuals coming and visiting the United States? This particular entrepreneur in New Zealand, he also wants to expand this out to New Zealand too. So he's looking to bring Indian artists to New Zealand, which he just told my students in our last meeting within the last couple of weeks, that he has a particular artist that he's looking to move forward with in New Zealand right now. So he's excited to see the students' presentation this December, what they come up with a model for the US.
That's awesome. When you say artists, what kind of art are they? Is it paintings or is it singing or is it?
So right now, musicians. That's his focus.
Okay.
Yeah, he's considered branching that out to people that do graphic design, but for now, he's sticking with musicians.
That's amazing. So some of the research that's going on, I guess, within the United States is what market that they can tap into and things like that. What are they finding in that research?
Yeah, so they found that there are certain cities in the country that have higher populations of individuals that have come over to the United States from India. They've seen that a number of campuses have organizations on campus so that people from India can kind of express their culture and get to know each other and help with that transition as they move here to the United States. They've also identified a number of cultural centers throughout the U.S. that could really help out.
That's really cool. Yeah. And then there was another one that piqued my interest was what it calls Martha's Love, I believe. Tell me a little bit more about that one.
Yeah, one of our students here at Benedictine College, Joel, he's fantastic. He decided to start a nonprofit. And with this nonprofit, he wanted to help individuals in West Africa. His first focus was on kind of the educational side of things, whether it's providing scholarships for young children wanting to further their education, or maybe even helping to make sure there are schools in different areas so that children can pursue education. He's also expanding that out to providing different resources like clothing for some of the children, looking at helping potentially some orphanages as well. And so he came to my office and we were talking about this project. And then we started talking about the Student International Business Council. And he decided he wanted to join the class and see if he could expand out and create a group, a student team that would help to work on this project. It's been fun to watch the team come up with different ideas. For example, they recently reached out to Gartmeyer to see, can we tie in with the football team, maybe do something where we have a clothing drive at one of the football games. And Gartmeyer came back, he was fantastic. And he said, you know what? We'll go ahead and do the 50-50 raffle with your organization for one of the games. So it was family weekend where the 50-50 raffle proceeds went ahead and came to Joel's organization, Martha's Love. And they're hoping in the upcoming weeks to also do some type of event on campus that'll be kind of more of a clothing drive.
That's awesome. How did he pick West Africa? What was the interest there?
Yeah, so some of his family had some ties to that part of the world, and so he wanted to do something to give back.
That's amazing. So I'm guessing he's traveled there and
he has
seen it at work. That's awesome. That's awesome. And another one as well that I've heard a lot of great stories about is Spark Tank initiatives. Maybe share a little bit more about that as well.
Yeah, Dave Geenans from the School of Business has been very involved with Spark Tank. He was generous and reached out to us in the Student International Business Council and said, would any of your students be interested in getting involved with this initiative? Through that, they're helping entrepreneurs to receive additional education, whether they're helping to build business plans or other ideas so they can really launch their businesses on a strong footing instead of just opening up without thinking through the next steps.
And then there's another project, Survey, I believe. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that one as well.
So Survey happens to be with one of my former students, our former student president of SIBC. He graduated, started working for the company Survey. And just this summer, he reached out and he said, I really enjoyed my time at Benedictine College with SIBC. I would love to do a project for my company now that I'm on the other side, now that I'm a graduate. And so we decided to run forward with this project. His company develops software, and they would love to develop some software to help the go-between the pharmaceutical companies and the clinical trials. And so that's the particular one I was mentioning earlier, where the students are researching how medical clinical trials are run in different parts of the world to see if the software that they've developed, if that'll be a good fit in other places in the world outside of the US. And we had another alum, the students are working on a project for this semester that had reached out just this last summer saying he'd love for students to do a project for his company too. And I loved the conversation with him this summer because he was talking about how when he was interviewing for a job, so he graduated from Benedictine College, was looking for a job doing interviews. In his interview, he was talking about the Student International Business Council. His employer, after he got offered the job, so he successfully achieved earning that job, his employer said, can we do a project with SIBC? He's like, I loved learning about it during the interview that you did with me. Can we move forward? So the students are working on a project for his company now too. So we've really started doing a lot of work with alumni.
That's fantastic. So share with me a little bit about the formation that they receive through the Business Council.
Yeah, we strongly focus on that vision of peace through commerce, but we make sure we also tie in Benedictine College's values of faith, community, scholarship, and they really go hand in hand. Peace through commerce, when students are engaging in business with people in different places of the world, it helps to break down those stereotypes, right? Sometimes you think of someone from a culture and you just assume that they might have certain behaviors or mannerisms, but when you get to know those individuals while doing business with them, again, it helps you get to know the real person, the human being, and that then helps to facilitate peace. So a lot of these projects and furthering peace through commerce, they're also doing other things too, like building that community and getting to know those individuals. And then the students now have connections and ties in different places in the world. I know on a recent trip to New Zealand, when I took students over there, yes, they were doing a business project, but I had a bunch of my MBA classmates, or it's former now, MBA classmates come out and meet students. And now they have ties over in New Zealand as well with these different individuals. So community is a big part. Faith, we have a lot of different projects. Some have been more faith-based. When we did the project for the monks of Norcia, the monks there, they do brew some beer, which is fantastic.
Nice.
I highly recommend. But they brew beer, and they focused most of their time on their prayer life. That's a big part of what they do. So they're not, on cell phones all the time or on computers. And actually, most of the monks there aren't utilizing that type of technology. However, a couple of the monks that are involved in the beer brewing process, they are allowed to have cell phones to help facilitate business. But they wanted our student team to help them find how could social media be used to expand their reach? How could that be used to reach people that maybe they send in a newsletter to, so that those people can learn more about their life as monks and also more about the beer that they develop? Now, they didn't want this to be some random ad that pops up on Facebook, right? They wanted it to be relationship-based. So our students looked at YouTubers, podcasters, organizations, people using technology where you could build that relationship and you could share more about your story instead of just a random ad popping up on your website. And it was neat because the students worked on this. Then we traveled over to Norcia, Italy. The monks showed us around, where they live. But then when we were sitting down and the students were presenting, I could just see this realization come on the students' faces at this point that this is real. The monks were asking questions. This is something that they want to use going forward. And it was also beautiful. They invited the young men to come up for morning prayer if they wanted to, which it was at 3, I think it was 3 o'clock in the morning. I think the guys did it one day. I'm not sure if they did it after that. But we all then had a chance. We weren't allowed to do the morning prayer part, but we were allowed to go to mass up there. And it was just a very beautiful experience. Others, we've worked with an organization called Water with Blessings. Water with Blessing provides water filters to certain countries like Haiti, Puerto Rico. And the goal of that is they provide these water filters to people they call water women within the community. And then once you are given one of those filters, the community knows that they can come to you for clean water, that they can use that filter to have clean water for their home, which is so important for the health of individuals and children and that growth and development. So our students have worked with organizations like that as well. Another project, I go on and on all day about projects,
awesome.
But another project the students have done, again, more on that faith side of things. They did a project where they had crosses that were purchased from the Holy Land, sold those to alumni, people here on campus, so then the money could be donated to the monks here. So some projects are more on the faith side. Others are very much focused on the corporate side of things. Our students have done a number of projects for accounting firms, for example. One of the recent projects was a pretty high-level international tax issue, but it was a good challenge for the students to take that on. We've done things in the local community as well. For a couple of semesters, we had a project where we were working with Catholic Charities and the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program, which was so rewarding, right? Because these students studying accounting, they're developing these skills, this knowledge through their courses here at Benedictine College. But then to be able to take that and actually help people in low income brackets to complete their taxes, and for those individuals to receive those refunds back. I remember one of the students telling me how one of the individuals he had helped said, "You don't understand what this means to my family, the food that this is going to provide for my children." So it's just such a beautiful thing to see students use, again, their knowledge, the skills that they're developing through our school, and applying that to the world to really make a difference, to transform the culture in America.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting how, that just sounds so almost personalistic, if it's really concerned about the human person, while at the same time being successful, in the world of wealth and business. So I also know there's a yearly presentation where the 3 councils come together and they do research and offer presentations to, donors and other businessmen and women. Tell me a little bit about that process and what's going on with that.
Yeah, one of the many great things about SIBC, the councils, we stay connected. We stay tied together. We're not these separate entities that don't have any interaction. So you're right, twice a year, the councils will get together. Every fall, we have an event called the International Political and Economic Forum. The specific prompt or topic of research is different from semester to semester. This semester, for example, students are researching artificial intelligence, and they're examining how AI is impacting different categories. For example, the geopolitical impact that AI is having, the societal change that AI is having, what regulations are in place regarding AI, or what regulations should be in place? What are some of the ethical implications regarding AI? And how is the economy impacted by artificial intelligence? So all of the schools have this prompt, but then each school is assigned kind of a subtopic within this. So our school was focusing on Microsoft and the technology sector. One of the other schools is focusing on manufacturing, and the other school is focusing on aerospace and companies in that area. So then the students will all come together this November, and the students will have a chance to present the research that they've done in this area. The presentations tend to last about 20 minutes, and then there's about 10 minutes of question and answer. And it's fantastic because students are working on their research skills, working on their presentation skills, but then they have an opportunity to network with the students at the other schools. And a lot of times our benefactors will come out and have a chance to watch the presentations too, to ask questions. Sometimes faculty will come to these presentations, and then occasionally we'll also have people from whatever business sector we're talking about come to watch the presentation and ask questions. So that's the first one in the fall, the International Political and Economic Forum. Then in the spring each year, we do something called buy-side. Buy-side tends to be a finance-based topic, so like the buying side of stocks. So that finance topic, again, it varies from semester to semester. Last spring, we had a topic that, again, involved artificial intelligence. That's just a hot topic right now. Yeah. Within that, each of the schools researched, what are the up-and-coming companies in the area of artificial intelligence, or, what companies are using AI in a way that's going to cause their business to just take off and be really successful. Then the students had to make recommendations to the panelists, the individuals watching the presentation, as to which company or a couple of companies they would recommend buying stocks. So, and you need to look at long-term, short-term, so the students research a number of different dynamics and factors there. We've had a lot of fascinating topics in the past. One of the years, students researched which company in the area of like clean energy would they recommend investing in. We've had topics involving, we had the GameStop situation was one of the years. Cryptocurrency has been a hot topic. So usually the topics are, again, kind of what's happening in society right now.
In American politics today, there's a lot of division about the country and about what people want, and even about our history. As an American Catholic, it's sometimes difficult to navigate the complicated relationship between America's founding principles and our Catholic faith. Whether America is totally about Enlightenment, liberal principles that are completely at odds with the teaching of the Church. That's not the only way to understand the American political project. I'm Dr. Kevin Vance. I'm the director of the Center for Constitutional Liberty at Benedictine College in Atchison, Kansas. In this series, we'll show how American political principles are compatible with Catholic political thought, and how, through history, the contributions of Catholic citizens and other citizens of goodwill is essential to preserving what's good about the American political system. And that's why this series is so important. It's our hope that you too can go out and transform culture in America.
Could you share a few more stories of students who have gone through the program and what they're doing out in the real world now and being successful?
Yeah, so our students do a lot of different things. The Student International Business Council, we do have a lot of business students. We have accounting students, finance students, marketing students, management students, international business students, but we're also open to individuals from different areas in the college. So we'll have theology students some semester. We'll have people from psychology or sociology, engineering. We have a couple of students from engineering next semester. So we are open up to the whole school. So individuals, when they leave SIBC, when they leave Benedictine College, they go into different areas. Our students, sometimes job offers come from the projects. Now, it's not every single project, that we have students getting a job offer, but this last spring, we did 3 different business consulting projects. Every single one of the companies that the students did a project for last semester offered either an internship opportunity to students on the team or full-time employment after they got out. So sometimes there are job offers that happen when the students impress the company. And sometimes they're presenting to people from the HR department. Sometimes they're presenting to other accountants at an accounting firm. Sometimes it's some of the executives from the organization. One of the very first projects we did, back when, I started getting involved with SIBC, was for an organization in New Zealand that was trying to decide if they wanted to expand into the US market or not. For that, they had the CEO attend the presentation and then the senior management team, which was incredible. And the students put a lot of work into it. So this isn't a light thing. I think their marketing plan, the market entry plan, ended up being about 70 pages or so, plus the presentation that they did. So they had to analyze, obviously come to the final answer, should the company enter the US market, but where, how, what sectors, what type of growth, what are the costs? So there's a lot of things that go into those decisions, and every single project is just different. So we've done a couple of different projects in Belize. One of the projects, the first time we went down there, we traveled to Banque Viejo, Belize. It's pretty close to the Guatemala border. And we worked with some individuals at JP2 Junior Community College down there, which was fantastic. We put on, that first time, some entrepreneurship workshops. So individuals in the community that were looking to start their businesses could come to these workshops and learn how to write a business plan, for example. Or we also had a day talking about how to design a simple website. We talked about the tourism industry, which is big in Belize. Then in the afternoon, we put on a soccer camp for some of the children in town. And man, those children were they were schooling us on the soccer field, but we all had a good time. This last time that I took students down to Belize, it was a different dynamic. So the dean at the junior college set this up for us, which was fantastic. She set it up so that our students were going into 3 different high schools in town, which was phenomenal. And our students taught business classes. They taught about marketing. They taught about finance. They taught about budgeting. And then after that, we actually had a chance to meet with a local entrepreneur, and she sold pupusas. And the entrepreneur had the right idea. She told our team, I'm not selling tacos, because she said, you can go anywhere in town and find tacos. She's like, everybody's selling tacos. But she wanted to sell pupusas. But the team had an opportunity to talk to her and to coach her and the finance side of things, the importance of keeping separate books, right? So you have your personal account and then you have your business account, and kind of keeping track of what you're spending on your materials and how much you're bringing in, how much money you're making. And something that I loved about that, one of my favorite parts of that project, is then the junior college there in town, they sent some students down to some of the meetings that we had with the entrepreneur. And the goal of that was that, yes, our Benedictine College students were doing this workshop right now, but that the colleges at the local college could learn from this workshop and then replicate it on their own and continue this with other entrepreneurs in the community. So it becomes something sustainable, not a one-off, one-time thing with an entrepreneur, but something where the community is helping itself. The locals are helping each other and keeping it going forward. And then we still did the soccer camp, of course. So it was a very busy trip, but it was full of a lot of growth. And that one was a unique one in that we also paired up with the ministry office here at campus, so with some of the mission trip students. So our business students stayed in the same place with the students on the mission trip, and everyone had a chance to attend Mass every single day. And it was a great opportunity for growth for the students in a lot of ways.
Well, how many trips per semester do you go on with students?
Yeah, it varies from semester to semester. So sometimes we have more projects, sometimes we have less. It depends both on the number of students and the number of opportunities that are presented.
And then how does application for a program like that, what does that look like?
Yeah, the application process is relatively new for us here at Benedictine College's SIBC. We have a number of different categories on the application. Some things are pretty basic, name, year, area of study. But then we have some additional questions. For example, what does the phrase peace through commerce mean to you? Because that's our vision, something that's important to us. Another basic question, why are you the best candidate for this organization? What is it that you want to achieve by being a member of the Student International Business Council? And I've really enjoyed the other category to see, some students will just leave that blank. They don't have to put anything in the other category. And others will really go into depth. I know I was mentioning kind of before we started this that this semester I actually had a student who had said, when I came to visit Benedictine College, when I was looking at different colleges, she said, we talked about the Student International Business Council. You shared a video, which actually your guys' department, you guys had created that video, and that's something I had shared with her. And she said, I couldn't wait to get here and to join SIBC and become a member. She's a freshman right now, and she just filled out her application, and she's going to be in our group next semester.
Wow, that's amazing. So then when they are accepted into the program, how does it work in regard to like the travel and all of that? Do they pay for it themselves, or is there donors and benefactors? How does that work?
Again, we are so grateful for Frank Potenziani and his vision and his gift to Benedictine College. We use the money that we receive off of that gift, the interest that comes off of that every year, to help fund some of the flights and some of the hotels for students. So that really helps to make it something that, anyone that joins SIBC has an opportunity to do. Now, some of those, especially the domestic projects where the flights are less, sometimes we can fund 100% of the flights and 100% of the hotels. For other international projects, we'll usually put a monetary amount that will be covered. And so if a student wants to upgrade to first class or fly from some other city, then they have to pay that difference. But we try to make sure at least the bulk of the flight is covered by SIBC.
So now I wanted to ask a little bit about what would be your advice to a young businessman or woman who is just getting started in the field? What advice would you give to them?
Yeah, go through life with an open heart, an open mind. Frank Potenziani, again, is really onto something with that vision of peace through commerce. So as, opportunities are presented to you, as doors open, maybe God put those in your life for a reason. Maybe that was your plan and what you wanted the whole time, or maybe it wasn't your original plan, but be open to that. And again, as you go through life, you're open to those opportunities with that open heart and open mind. Also keep in mind that vision of peace through commerce. And another part of that vision is, as you're communicating with people in different cultures, having that open mind when you have those conversations and being respectful as you're having the conversations.
Awesome. And then a question we ask all the guests is, how do you see your work and the formation being offered here at Benedictine help to transform culture in America?
Yeah, whether it is something that the students are doing on the international scale, where maybe they're going out and now that person has a different view of people in America, or they have a more positive view of people from Kansas, Atchison, Kansas. Or it could be something where we're traveling to a different place in the country. Like say this semester, we have a project going on in California. We have a project going on in Louisiana. Last semester, we had a project in LA, a project in Texas, a project in Kansas City. All those individuals are having chances to interact with our students here at Benedictine College. Every time a student leaves campus and they're working on a project, they're giving a presentation, they're a representation of Benedictine College, of our faith. And so, yeah, each thing they do, they're making a difference in the world and hopefully transforming culture in America.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, thank you, Dr. Rogers, for coming on the show. This has been absolutely fantastic conversation. Thank you for all the work you're doing with our students. I'm kind of honestly blown away by how much you guys are doing. It's unbelievable, especially the international stuff. That's unreal. I would never have guessed Monk's inertia. So again, thank you for everything you do, and thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for inviting me.
All right. Well, all of our viewers and listeners, be sure to visit media.benedictine.edu and subscribe to our weekly newsletter. Also, be sure to hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Thank you again for watching or listening, and God bless. If you enjoyed the Benedictine Dialogues today, I want to invite you to visit our website, media.benedictine.edu. Be sure to subscribe to our weekly newsletter, where you will receive all of the latest in your inbox, or subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Thanks again for watching. God bless.